Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I will be DIYing home decor from West Elm. Two of the items are going to be thrift flip items, and then one of them I'm going to be building from scratch.
It's just the last time I can see you in a while. Is it the truth that you...
Before we get started with the first DIY, I'll just explain to you what I'm going to be DIYing. The first DIY, I am using this basket from the thrift store. And I'm going to be recreating this item from West Elm. So I know that this basket isn't necessarily the perfect size. Those are a little bit bigger, but I really liked how this one had the right sort of weave, I guess. I'm not really sure. So it has like these thicker pieces. So that's really similar to the one from West Elm. So I'm very excited. This is gonna be pretty simple. I'm just gonna attempt to paint that shape on here, and I hope it turns out well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the first DIY.
I started by measuring the basket so that I could find the center point of the basket, and this does not need to be perfect. This allowed me to roughly draw out the shape pretty easily. Once I had that drawn on my basket, I grabbed my black acrylic paint and just started painting the basket.
It goes round and round in circles, but I'm still on the ground. It's a dizzying day. I would give a lot to get away. It's getting real dark in here. Feels like I've been here 1,000 years. Could you bring some light to me? Or just sit beside me and never leave? I got the curtains up. I guess it would be nice if you could interrupt. It's a day like this. It's a day I really would have missed. It's getting real dark in here. Feels like I've been here 1,000 years. Could you bring some light to me?
The second DIY we're going to be working on today involves these two glass bowls. So I'm going to be attempting to recreate this item from West Elm. All I'm really going to be doing is flipping this one, and it's going to become the base. And then I'm going to use some glue that's designed for glass to glue this on top. And then I'm going to be attempting to recreate the finish on there. I'll probably spray paint it just to prime it at first, and then I'll use the baking soda mixed with paint method to get the more textured look. And then I will seal that in with a spray paint top coat. Let's go get started with our bowl DIY.
The first thing I need to do is glue the two bowls together. I'm using clear Gorilla Glue, which is supposed to bond anything including glass. While the glue is drying, you want to clamp your pieces together. I just used a heavy object to weigh them down. I removed any excess glue with a wet paper towel, and then I let it dry for 24 hours. Once the glue was dry, I primed the whole piece with some spray paint. Now that our base coat is on, it's time to move on to the next step. This frame is going to act as my inspiration for the colors that I'm going to use to paint the bowl. I'm going to be putting the bowl in here once it's done, and this frame looks so cute with this color. So I'm going to try to get our base color to match the base color of the frame, and then try to get our additional colors to match those accent colors in the frame. Gathered all my supplies, including all the paint that I'm going to be using, some paint trays and paint brushes, and some baking soda to mix in with the paint. I started by mixing white with yellow ochre, and this is what I used to create the ivory for my base coat. And then here's how it looks with our inspiration frame. I'm adding baking soda to add texture to the paint, and then mix it until it's fully blended together. Then I painted the entire piece with the baking soda paint. Once I was done painting, I set the bowl aside to dry before we could add the accent colors. To add the accent colors, we're going to need a bowl of water, a roll of paper towel, base color paints, and our accent color paints. I started by making my base color, which was the ivory, and then I began making variations of this color by adding small amounts of other colors. I dunked the paper towel in water to make it damp, and then dipped the damp paper towel in one of my paint colors. Using the damp paper towel, I began blotting the paint onto my piece, quickly realizing that the best method was to then use a second paper towel and dunk it in my ivory color, which is the lightest color, and use that to sort of blend the colors together. I just continued that process using my different colors of paint and blending them in and blotting them with a paper towel until I was happy with the finished result.
I could sit around and wait all day. You lay easy on my mind. Like a candle, I just burn away.
Once I was happy with the way that it looked, I set it aside to dry before I could go in with a top coat. And look how perfect it looks with our inspiration frame. And now it's time to spray the entire piece with our top coat. Then I once again had to let the piece dry before I could bring it inside.
I don't wanna waste it on anybody. Take it with anybody but you. I don't wanna waste it on anybody.
And then last but not least, I'm going to be attempting to recreate this item from West Elm. So it's like a propagation thing. I'm going to be building the frame with some scrap wood that I already have, and I ordered some test tubes on Amazon. Let's get started with this next DIY.
For this project, I'll be using a scrap piece of 1x2 wood. Using the dimensions from the West Elm website, I measured 2 pieces at 6 inches long and 2 pieces at 1.5 inches long. And then I cut them out with my miter saw. Here's an idea of how it will look once we assemble it. But first, I'm going to sand all of my pieces. Sanding helps remove any roughness. It also helps with the sharp edges and corners and removes any jagged edges from when we cut it with the saw. I then trace my test tube onto my 1.5 piece of wood, which I will then carve out using a drill bit. I then trace the existing cutout onto my other 1.5 piece of wood. Mark the center with the point of my drill bit. Began the same process as last time, although this time I did not drill all the way through the piece. I just wanted to create a divot where the test tube would sit on top of. After testing a couple different colors of wood stain, I realized the best option would be a mix between golden oak and pickled oak. Before staining, I'm using Minwax pre-stain to prep my surface. This is an important step, especially when using woods like pine. It's going to ensure the best finish and reduce blotchiness. When using a pre-stain or wood conditioner, make sure to follow the directions on your product. Once that was dry, I was ready to go in with my stain mixture.
Just where it was needed.
I was realizing the stain was still quite light, so I decided to go in with a second coat of just the golden oak stain on top.
In the eye of time, nobody's losing.
The last thing I wanted to do was fill this little hole with wood filler.
Faces merchant change, but your face remained the same. The swallows will be here.
So now that I'm done with all of the DIYs from West Elm, let's go ahead and compare how much it costs to make these items with the products from West Elm to see if I ended up making them for cheaper. But the first product that I replicated was this basket from West Elm. So I know that I chose a basket that's quite a bit smaller than the actual baskets from West Elm. So I'm just going to be comparing it to the smallest basket that they do have and comparing the price to that one. So here is my version of the West Elm basket. So I think I did a pretty good job with just painting on the shape of the basket. If I had a basket that was the right size, I think I would have done an even better job, but sometimes you're just limited with, the options that you have to work with. So the basket itself was $2.99 from the thrift store. And then all I used was some black acrylic paint, which I already had. But I'm just going to say I used about 50 cents worth of the paint, even though I probably used less than that. So total, this cost about $3.50, which is still cheaper, quite a bit cheaper than their smallest basket, even when it was on sale. But let me know what you think about the basket. Where would you use this? Would you use this in an entryway? Would you use this in a living room? What would you use this for? The second item that we DIY'd was this bowl from West Elm. I used my own frame for the inspiration for the inspiration colors. So I think I did a pretty good job with still replicating this item itself and then customizing it to suit how I actually wanted it to be in my own home. So this is the finished product. The large glass bowl and the small glass bowl, each of them were $2.99. And then we used paint. I'm just going to calculate that we used about $1 worth of paint. So therefore, this bowl cost me about $7 compared to the West Elm one, definitely cheaper. But let me know what you thought about that one. Do you like the finish that I created on there? Do you think it's close enough to the original? And what would you use this bowl for? I'm going to use it just as decoration because I have an open cube in my little cube storage where I have all my records and everything. Check out that video where I redid that. So I just want to kind of fill that up with this. And then the last thing that I DIY'd was this plant propagation station. Here is my version. So I have a little plant in there right now. I'm sorry to all you plant experts. I probably have no idea what I'm doing. I just cut a piece off and put it in here. I mean, I looked it up and that's kind of what it said to do, but I feel like I still probably messed it up. I'm going to say the wood cost me about $1. And then the test tube, I calculated that each one cost about 70 cents. So total, this propagation station cost me about $1.70. And it's so cute. You could just make a ton of little ones. You could make one of the larger ones. You can customize it any way you want, which again is the great thing about DIYing. But I would love to know which item that I DIYed today was your favorite. I'm having a really hard time deciding. I really love the bowl, but then the propagation station is also super cool. No offense to the basket. Let me know which one you like in the comments down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you. Bye.
Is this the last time I can see you in a while? Is it the truth that you'll be living tonight? We should take a walk, then a swim in the sea.